Now the next topic which we are going to see in this video is Azure Synapse Link. But Azure Synapse Link is actually connected with one more topic which is known as HTAP. This HTAP stands for Hybrid Transactional Analytical Processing. I'm sure you guys have heard about OLAP, Online Analytical Processing. HTAP is actually, a better enhanced way to do analytical processing actually. What is this? Let's see that thing. Azure Synapse Link for Azure Cosmos DB is a cloud-native hybrid transactional and analytical processing capability that enables you to run near real-time analytics over operational data in Azure Cosmos DB. In simple words, somewhere if you have a data stored in your Azure Cosmos DB and if you want that you are going to do some analytical queries on that data with the help of Azure Synapse, then you need to link this data store with your Synapse. In spite of using a normal link service kind of thing, you're going to use a specialized link service which is known as Azure Synapse Link actually. This Azure Synapse Link is going to help you to build a tightly seamless integration between Azure Cosmos DB and Azure Synapse Analytics. Now let's try to understand this thing with some visualized way. Let's say you have Azure Cosmos DB and Azure Synapse both deployed somewhere on your Azure portal. Cosmos DB is obviously going to have your data on which maybe you want to do some transactional workload and you want to execute some queries, and there are maybe some applications and devices which are actually trying to do some transactional workloads on your operational data in the Cosmos DB. When this kind of thing is happening, we do not want that this transactional workload, this performance is going to be impacting on my analytical things also. We also want that when we write analytical queries, that should not impact on the transactional workload. When we want that our analytical processing is not going to be impacting on our transactional workload, at that time we have to make sure that we need to associate this thing with HTAP, Hybrid Transactional Analytical Processing. Now what this is actually doing, this is going to create some analytical store for my data which is there in Cosmos DB. So whatever data you have in your Cosmos DB, that data is going to be replicated and stored inside this analytical store in Azure Synapse. The linking between these two is going to enable this seamless integration which is going to happen on almost near real time. The moment some data is going to be changed in Cosmos DB, it will be reflected and configured inside the Synapse. And that is something which is going to be taking care when you're going to write queries on that. How the Synapse Link is going to be configured in Cosmos DB, how you're going to integrate this thing, and how you're going to write queries in Azure Synapse Analytics, these all we are going to see in this particular video. Before this, let's try to understand one last part of this theoretical concept. Now, to analyze large operational data sets while minimizing the impact of the performance of mission critical transactional workload, that is something which is a benefit of Azure Synapse Link. Traditionally, the operational data in Azure Cosmos DB is extracted and processed by ETL, extract transform load kind of pipeline. So yes, you can create your Synapse pipeline or data factory pipelines and you can get data from Cosmos DB. This ETL pipelines requires many layers of data movement, resulting in much operational complexity and even the performance impact on your transactional workload, which we don't want. It also going to increase the latency to analyze the operational data from the time of origin. This is not going to be a real time, but Synapse Link is going to be a near real time kind of thing. When compared to this traditional ETL based solution, Azure Synapse Link for Azure Cosmos DB offers several advantages, such as it reduces the complexity of no ETL jobs because we can directly write queries. It's going to be near real-time insight into your operational data. No impact on operational workload. Optimized for large-scale analytical workloads because separate analytical stores are going to be created. And it's also going to be a cost-effective way to write your queries and performing some analytical operations on that. How it's going to work? Let's see this thing in action. But in this case, we have to do two steps. First, we have to set up our Cosmos DB with some data. And once that is set up, then we have to enable Synapse Link. And then only we can write queries with the help of hybrid transactional analytical processing. This is a very important concept if you're going to be a data engineer and if you're planning for Azure certifications on data engineer. This concept you have to be very clear with. Let's focus on this practically. I'm there in my Azure portal. My Synapse Studio is already created in the previous videos actually. I'm going to click on create resource, and without wasting time, I'm going to create my first Azure Cosmos DB. For your kind information, Azure Cosmos DB supports multiple APIs. It's a multi-model database of Microsoft. So you can choose which API you want to go for, in this video, we are going to select SQL because that's most recommended and preferable one for most of the scenarios. I'm going to click on create. We are going to select our subscription. We are going to select our resource group, which is going to be training RG. And then we are going to say this is going to be my Cosmos DB account. I'm just putting my name before that, so I'm specifying this is going to be unique. So this is my Cosmos DB account. Remember, one Cosmos DB account can have multiple Cosmos DBs inside that. The location for this, I can keep anything. I'm going to choose East US, which is same like my Synapse. And then I do not want to apply any free tier discount. We can provision throughput as per the configuration. Actually, higher throughput is one of the biggest advantage of Cosmos DB. The throughput wise, performance wise, Cosmos DB is much better than any other database, including SQL Server database hosted on Azure Cloud. The throughput which Cosmos DB is supporting is literally unlimited actually. We are going to go with some limited total amount of throughput here because I do not want to waste much my Azure credits in this. So this is fine. Everything else is fine with the default configuration in all these tabs. I'm just going to click on review plus create. And if the validation is going to pass, we are going to click on create. As mentioned here, the estimated account creation time is 2 minutes. So we have to wait for this particular time. While we are waiting for this deployment should be done, I want you to remember two things about Cosmos DB. First thing is this is very high throughput. This is performance wise very good database, which I already mentioned. Second thing is Cosmos DB is actually Microsoft's own database. So you cannot deploy Cosmos DB other than Azure Cloud. It is only limited to Azure Cloud actually. And that is something which is giving you this kind of a higher throughput because it's Microsoft's own database hosted on their own cloud. They have a full control on the throughput of this thing, and that's why they can give you best performance on this. This also counts like a limitation that you cannot go outside the Azure cloud. Some people also count this thing as a limitation that you cannot go outside the Azure cloud. You have to be in the Azure cloud only. But yeah, that is something which is a matter of choice. The deployment of my database is completed now. Let's click on go to resource. First thing first, inside the Cosmos DB account, I need to create my first database. Let me click on my data explorer. It's showing me some introductory video, which I'm not interested right now. So we are going to close that. And then this is a section where it's showing me that we have created this Cosmos DB account with SQL kind of a model. So this is an SQL API which is integrated with that. I am going to click on this drop down and I'm going to click on that I want to create a new database. Initially, when you create a database, you can give whatever name you want to give. Let's say we are specifying a name of the database, that this is something which is learning DB. This learning DB is just going to have some dummy data right now. I'm giving a name learning DB, and what kind of throughput I want to provision with this. I'm saying I want that is going to be a manual throughput, which is going to be minimum, which is actually 400 request unit per second. So per second, we can make 400 requests to the data access, which is fine for me right now. And I'm going to click on OK. Once this one database is created, this database can have multiple, I can say containers inside that. So I know that people who are familiar with SQL Server, they'll not be comfortable with this. But in this case, we do not have tables. When you have Cosmos DB is actually going to have containers inside that. So you can see learning DB database is created. I can click on this and I can create a new container. This container is going to have multiple documents inside that, and each document is going to be like a one single record. I'm creating a new container. Let's say my container ID is students. I want to store some students data inside this. I can specify my kind of partition key here. I can specify ID or any other column also as a partition key. I'm specifying ID only. Students ID is going to be unique and it's going to divide the partitions with that. So I'm going to find with that. And then this is something which is very important. When you create a Cosmos DB, there is a section here which is disabled right now, which is analytical store. And you can see it is mentioned here that Azure Synapse Link is required for creating analytical store. As of now, I'm creating container which is not having analytical store inside that. But yeah, I'm going to do this thing after creation of this. So let's click on create right now. One database learning DB is created. Inside that one container students is going to be created. And this students container can have multiple records inside that. So this is going to contain the records in the form of JSON documents actually. I'm quickly going to create some documents in that. So this is students container. If I click on items, right side, I have a section that there are no items right now in this. Let me create a new item. Let me specify that the ID of my student is going to be, let's say, S713. This is going to be the ID of the student. I want to specify a few more details for the student, like name of the student. Let's say name of the student is going to be Rahul. And then I'm going to specify he belongs to a school. So I'm going to specify the school of Rahul is going to be, let's say, Microsoft. And the moment if you see here, this is actually showing me error because somewhere I forgot to do the comma. This is going to do all the validations of the JSON data actually right now. If it is not proper, it's going to give you that, yeah, this is something which is not proper actually. I'm going to specify one more comma now, and then I'm going to say that I want one more thing, which is class. Rahul is in the class 9th, let's say. And this is what the data which I want to store here. Once I have the data, I'm going to click on save. And the moment I click on save, Cosmos DB is going to create some automatically generated columns inside this particular document. This is going to be used internally by Cosmos DB. But for me, the important thing is right now, in the left side column, I got one new record, which is actually nothing but one document, which is storing my students' data. Let me quickly add some more new items. I'm going to specify that the second student is having 714. His name is John, and John also studies in MS. No, he studies in DPS, let's say, and then he's studying in class number 5. And then I'm going to say save. The new record is saved. Let me add one more, and let me add myself in this. I'm going to say this is student number 715. The name of the student is Maruti. He's learning online, so no school. And then class number 7, let's say. And then I'm going to click on save. The moment I do this, my students are added here, their unique IDs are actually stored here, and this is something which is my data. Now up to this point, it's just like we are dealing with the normal Cosmos DB database. If you want to enable Synapse Link in this, on the top of this particular configuration, you can see there is a button, Enable Azure Synapse Link. I'm going to click on this button, and they are saying enable Azure Synapse Link on this Cosmos DB. Using this, you can get near real-time kind of analytics. It's going to help you to segregate your analytical workload with the transaction workload. This is all we discuss actually. And for more information, you can click on learn more. Right now, I'm going to click on enable Azure Synapse Link. This process is just initiated right now, and you can see this is going to take some time actually. So in order to understand this, that how much time it is taking and whether it's done or not, in the left side column, I have to scroll down to this section, which is Azure Synapse Link. When I click on that, it's going to show me that account is updating. This can take some time. This can take few seconds actually. So you just have to wait here till it is showing you account is updating or it is enabled after that. And let's wait for this. Sometime if it is not going to reflect it immediately, you can refresh your browser. Let me refresh my browser. Once I refresh this browser, it's still showing me account is updating. I'll wait for a few more seconds and then again I'll refresh. It should show me account is enabled. In order to proceed further, first it should be enabled. So let's just wait for this to be done. I'm refreshing one more time. Yes, for me now it is showing me account is enabled, and you can see it's showing me that this database and this container which you have, you can enable Azure Synapse Link for this. The moment I say I want to enable this for a particular container or database, they are going to create one analytical store in the background. And using that analytical store, the Azure Synapse Link is going to perform analytical queries separately. Let me check mark this, and I'm going to say enable Synapse Link on these containers actually. I have only one container. You can have multiple also. Depends upon the data of that container, is going to take time. It can take few minutes or even it can take few hours if you have a huge amount of data. I'm going to say enable Synapse Link on these containers, and now as it is mentioned here, this can take some time. This can take some time, depends upon the data. I do not have much data, I just have few records. So I will just wait for some time, and then after that it should be done. So it started right now, it's showing me 25% done. If I wait for a few more minutes, it's going to be done fully. So let's just wait for that. It will be completed very soon. Yeah, now it's showing me 99% done. It's going to be done within few seconds now. Okay, for me this is done. You can see it's showing me now process is completed. It's showing me Azure Synapse Link has already been enabled on some container here, showing me the green tick. It means I'm good to go. If this is done, this is the time we have to use this connection. We have to use this analytical store which is configured in the background using this into our Synapse. So let's go to that. I'm going into my Synapse Studio right now. Inside the Synapse Studio, left side, we have a section called data. And in this data, we have a section which is actually linked. Whatever linked data stores are there is going to be visible here. Whatever actual data stores are there is going to be visible here. Workspace kind of thing. Let me do one thing. Let me refresh this first. Hey guys, sorry for interruption. My name is Maruti and I'm here to make a very important announcement. I hope you are liking our videos and you're doing a continuous learning with us on an Azure Cloud and AI related topics. If you are enjoying this thing, I'm going to announce skilltech.club, which is our upcoming website, which is going to be launched very soon. We are here to tell you one thing, that everyone who is a subscriber of this particular channel will get Azure Cloud and Azure AI related certification courses free of cost in skilltech.club. So you will be a part of the skilltech.club kind of a membership automatically free of cost. And everyone who's a subscriber of this particular channel will get those benefits which are available in that. So what are you waiting for? I request you to please subscribe to this channel and share it with your friends and families if they are also interested in Azure Cloud and AI learning. That's it from my side. Now you can carry on with your learning. Thank you. Let's just see this thing that right now we do not have any connections established with any Cosmos DB kind of thing. So you can see that in the workspace there is nothing, in this link there is nothing. It's just one thing, which is my Gen 2 storage account. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this plus icon and then I'm going to select that I want to connect to some external data. This is actually your Synapse link, which is coming in this link section actually. The moment I try to connect with the external data, this is not like a normal link service where you can have all the plenty of data stores available in this. In this case, you will have only these 5 options which are there. And what we are going to select right now is Azure Cosmos DB with SQL API, this one. Once I select this and click on continue, it's going to ask me what will be the name of this. I'm going to give a name of this. This is Cosmos DB. It's a link service actually, but I'm going to give a name that this is my Cosmos DB Synapse Link. So I'm going to say this is going to be my Synapse Link. Description can be anything. Auto resolve integration runtime is fine. I'm going to select my subscription, my Cosmos DB account, and my database student should come in that. So yeah, sorry, learning DB should come in that. This is my database name. I'm going to click on test connection successful, and I'm going to click on create. The moment you do this thing, you have to observe something like if this is successfully done, the Synapse link is going to be enabled between Synapse and Cosmos DB. And if that is successfully created like this, all you have to do is just refresh this studio once. Once you refresh this thing, in the linked databases, you will get one Cosmos DB here. You can see I got one Cosmos DB database. If I expand this, inside the Cosmos DB database, we have students, which is nothing but my container. And what I want you to observe here is this students container, which is created here, is having a special kind of an icon in that. Just remember guys, this is something which is an icon which is actually for HTAP enable containers. If this is not enabled with hybrid transactional analytical processing, then this 3 bars which are there in this particular icon is not going to be there in that. It's going to show you only a simple icon like 3 squares or something like that. This is something which is smartly you can understand that this is HTAP enable container or this is a normal container, something like that. In this case, this is HTAP enable container. Using this icon, I can understand that thing. And now if I want to write some queries on this, or if I want to generate some notebooks on this, all these things can be possible. I can just click on this new SQL script. I can try to select some top 100 rows. It's going to generate some query which will not work directly. But yes, I need to provide some configurational things here. So I got this query generated, where on the first line, they are saying that they are trying to look for some credentials. Obviously, everything is going to be a secure communication between Synapse Link and Cosmos DB. So I have to specify some credentials. Let's say I'm giving a name of this thing, that this is my Maruti Cosmos cred. This is going to be the name of that credential which I'm going to create. It can be anything. I do not want to throw any exception for the database operation, so this is fine. I just want to delete the line number 2. In the create credential, this is going to be the name of the credential which I want to create. And then while writing the query for the select top 100 also, I'm saying this is going to be my credential which I'm going to use to connect with this Cosmos DB account and inside that this database. The last and final thing which is required here is I have to provide my shared access signature. I hope you remember SAS tokens which we have used in storage account. Similar kind of secrets and tokens are available in Cosmos DB also. I'm just going to provide one of the secret here which is going to allow me to access that Cosmos DB data. Let me go back to Cosmos DB. There is a section here called keys, and in these keys sections you can take either primary key or secondary key which you can copy and you can put it here as a shared access signature. Using this signature, they can validate my query, and then let's see if it is working or not. Let me click on run. This will try to get some records from students. If everything is work fine, if Synapse Link is configured properly, this is going to perform some query without affecting my transactional workload, and that's going to show me some data here. Let's wait for some time. Yep, you can see that my 3 students which I have added here, Maruti, Rahul, John, all are actually available here. I can query my Cosmos DB seamlessly, and even if I change some data into that Cosmos DB, it will be reflected here. I hope you're able to understand this. Last but not the least, I just want to click on publish all so that this SQL script 1 is going to be saved, which maybe I can use further also. I'm going to click on publish. It's successfully saved and we are good. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.